be about another 30-60 seconds. Hang in there, my friends. Thank you for your patience. Can't find my damn camera button. Here we go. All right. Hello, and welcome back to Forever Conscious Research Channel. Hope you're doing well today. Good to see you all. Okay, so after 20 microphone checks, yes. All right. So yeah, I hope you're doing well today. Going to dive into some near-death experiences, and we're gonna go into the Jesus deception. There's quite a few interesting ones in this compilation, and so let's dive right into it and see it up front and center. Okay, if I can get the there we go. All right, now I've played her NDE a little bit before. You might see, I think, 2 or 3 familiar faces, but the rest of them are probably about 3 familiar faces that I've played before. But anyways, let's dive right into it. And then the rest are ones I haven't played.
And I was thinking, I want to stay in this light forever. I just bask in this wonder. And slowly it kind of dissipated, went away. And I'm in my bedroom in this state of awe. I was just in the state of amazing awe, and it was still lit up. And I turned to my side, and I see white robes standing next to my bed. And then I looked up. Holy moly, that's Jesus. And he was looking at me with intense blue eyes that I've never seen anybody with with those blue eyes. And he said to me one sentence, and that was, but he didn't move his lips. I heard his voice, male's voice, in my head, or wherever I just heard it. Don't waste your life thinking you're not loved. And when he said the word your life, I felt this. It was palpable how precious my life was. And not just how precious my life was, but how precious everybody's life was.
Okay, so we have you're not your life is precious, and well, I mean, however you want to take that, but and yeah, I think the intense blue eyes are interesting, and something you'll see in NDEs is oftentimes people just like feel it was Jesus. They thought it was Jesus, or they heavily are convinced it's Jesus. Sometimes they see him, sometimes they don't. And there's all variety of different depictions on what Jesus could look like. I mean, so if that's going on, isn't that kind of a problem? There's kind of a lack of consistency. And that is, no doubt, excuse me, molded around a belief system of some sort, or some sort of subconscious thing that's in the back of the person's mind, so to say.
It's palpable how precious my life was, and not just how precious my life was, but how precious everybody's life was. So it completely flipped my world inside out and upside down. I had to reconsider every thought I had thought, every belief I held, every concept was now had to be re-examined in light of that experience. And I was an English teacher, so I took that sentence, that one precious sentence he gave me, and I took it apart. I pulled it apart. Okay, so there's a life to be wasted, so that meant we, everyone, has a purpose of some kind.
Sure.
Has a mission. It's a precious reason for being here.
Okay, everyone has a mission. Everyone's special. Okay. The whole mission thing is so played out and so ridiculous that it just... there's just... you have some mission to complete. There's this grand reason for why you should be doing this or that. Meanwhile, we come here with no guidebook, our memories are wiped, no recollection of where we came from, why we're here, where we're going, and what the hell our mission is.
Everyone has a purpose of some kind, has a mission. It's a precious reason for being here. Whatever that is, it's precious. So, okay, what is my purpose? Yikes, I don't want to waste my life. I got the supreme command here. What is my purpose? I got to figure that out. So that became a challenge, tried to figure that out.
I bet it was.
Don't waste your life meant I was creating this situation, that I was not a victim of my circumstances, that I had a choice. I had choices all the time. Every thought was a choice. Because most of this was up here. It wasn't what I was doing, it was what I was thinking. And that got me depressed. So being depressed became for me a way to waste life. So I had to figure out how to make myself feel better and find my purpose, and wonder how is this going to affect my actions in the future, because I want to go to heaven. I want to go back home.
I was swept away by being at art college with all the different people, all the environment was different. And of course, I was going to be a famous artist and I was going to marry Cat Stevens. I was 17. And my life with Jesus at that time was just the knowledge of God in some respect, but absolutely no church, nothing. So how I want to start this is by saying that I've sort of given you the basics of it, the outline of it. But let's go into the nitty gritty now. So it was a Sunday. I was at home and I managed to score some hash. This was this grass or something, I don't know. Anyway, I'd bought it in a pub, and I'd been experimenting a little bit with other friends at art college, smoking a little bit at parties, and this was one of the first times that I've actually scored myself. About 20 minutes after, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Maybe I need to have some more. So I put the rest of it in a sandwich and ate that as well. And then I thought, well, still nothing's happening. So I sort of went into my bedroom, turned the music on, drew the curtains, and that was basically it, really. I was completely gone. My heart was beating so fast. I was convulsing in the bed. I was shaking. I thought I'd try and make myself sick. I couldn't move. Literally, I could not move. My body was in such a state of shock. I couldn't move off the bed. I think I fell off the bed. I can't really remember fully. But I just thought, oh my goodness, what have I done? 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 And, it was just getting worse and worse. I had no sense of my body. The floor was caving in. The walls were caving in. And this tremendous sense of guilt, this tremendous sense of anxiety and threat. And all I kept thinking was that Mum and Dad...
Tremendous guilt, tremendous anxiety.
Sense of anxiety and threat. And all I kept thinking was that Mum and Dad downstairs, what are they going to do when they find me dead in my bed? And I just thought, this is the worst. I love my parents, and they're going to just find me dead in my bed because I'm going to have a heart attack. My heart was pounding out of my body. It was just pounding so fast. And I don't know how long this went on for. It seemed like an eternity. I really don't know how long it went on for. But what I then did, what happened then, was this was the marvellous, wonderful love of Jesus, because I had no sense of what to do. I'd done everything I thought I could possibly do to save myself. And then I prayed, Jesus, save me. I am sorry. I am so stupid. I'm so foolish. What have I done?
I mean, just she's already reaching out to an entity who she believes in. And she's also talking down about herself, too.
Jesus, because I had no sense of what to do. I'd done everything I thought I could possibly do to save myself. And then I prayed, Jesus, save me. I am sorry. I am so stupid. I'm so foolish. What have I done? What have I done? And I just felt like I was just about to die. And then I had the presence of Jesus fall on me. It was amazing. It was like light. It was just like love.
It was like light. It was like love. The presence of Jesus just fell over me.
Complete love. But also it was the figure of Jesus. Somehow my mind had seen or conjured up.
My mind had seen or conjured up.
The presence and the actual figure of Jesus.
Right there. It shows how this is just all, it's instilled in her. It's a belief system that is being projected to her. It's conjured up. I mean, that's her word, not mine. Somehow my mind had seen or conjured up the presence and actual figure of Jesus.
The presence of Jesus fall on me.
Oops.
It was amazing. It was like light. It was just like love. Complete love. But also it was the figure of Jesus. Somehow my mind had seen or conjured up the presence and the actual figure of Jesus. And he said he just emanated love to me. He didn't physically speak, but he said, you know, you're so silly. You know, you are so foolish.
Yeah, you're so foolish.
You are such a child.
Such a child.
And he said, he understood.
Does that sound like Jesus to you? You're so foolish. Such a child. Jeez. What are you even doing here? Get out of my presence. Go back to Earth. Let's go. Chop, chop.
He didn't physically speak, but he said, you know, you're so silly. You know, you are so foolish.
So foolish.
You are such a child.
Such a child.
And he said, he understood. He understood everything. And my stupidity and my stupidness. But over all that, his love and his presence was overwhelming.
And he needs money.
And I just felt that he just calmed me. And he saved me. And he quietened my soul. And I don't know how many hours it was, how many hours I spent in that state of being healed. But the visualization of everything else stopped. He brought the calm to the storm in my mind, in my consciousness.
And the next morning.
I mean, wow, just to talk about it. I mean, it's like she just rolled out the red carpet for that experience to happen beyond any imagination. Well, it's her belief system. And 1 minute. Yeah, she just rolled out the red carpet for that experience to occur. I mean, she asked for it. And then she talks down about herself, and then, conjures up Jesus in her mind, and then boom. She's being talked down to. I mean, come on. Oh, you're so bad or pathetic or what, silly, whatever the words were. It's like, come on.
And the next morning is when it kind of hit me. My oldest boy, who was about 5, was so angry, just so angry. And then my 2-year-old wouldn't let me touch him. So I just had the experience. I can't keep putting my children through this. I don't understand what's happening to me. I have no control over it. And mind you, I had gotten help. I had seen counselors, and nobody had any answers for me. And that was it. It was that my children were better my children were better off without me. So that's what I did.
Michael, Iron Sheik, make Hulk humble.
And I waited till the next night when everyone was asleep. And the first thing I did is I slit my wrists with a broken apart safety razor, which was really ineffective. I didn't know how anybody did that, but I did leave pretty deep scars on my wrist. But then I started taking everything in the medicine cabinet. And I knew, like, this is it. Well, I'd had a stepmother who had had a near-death experience, and she'd gone to the corner of the room. So that's what I expected. So I wanted to watch, because that's the state of mind I was in. I was not well. I wasn't healthy, and I was dark. It was a dark time for my life, and I wanted to watch and see this happen. So I opened my eyes, and as soon as I did, I could feel my body just like back into my body. I could feel my spirit and my body reconnect. So I closed my eyes again, and then I could feel this energy. I could feel it separating. I knew I was out of my body. Opened my eyes to watch, back in my body. So I did that a couple of times, and then finally it was just like, okay, opening my eyes, that is disrupting this process, and closing my eyes. So I pressed my eyes closed, and suddenly I was swallowed up in the experience. And then I'm pushed through this tunnel. And it wasn't until later I realized.
Okay, swallowed up.
That is disrupting this process and closing my eyes. So I pressed my eyes closed, and suddenly I was swallowed up in the experience. And then I'm pushed through this tunnel. And it wasn't until later I realized that was my birth, because then the next thing I see is my mother cradling me. And I looked so much like her, I was confused and thought that I was looking at myself at first. But then I realized I'm feeling everything. I can experience everybody's points of view. So then I went through my life, beginning to end, every moment of my life. Parts of it were just rushed through, not important, but parts of it were slowed down so that I could experience. And the point of it was experience how everybody else around me experienced. So out of that, it's like exoneration and patience and love and forgiveness from my father, from my mother. And then also getting how my actions impacted others. That was the big one. I was pretty excited. Wow, I'm dead. I knew I was dead. And it came all the way to the point where I was lying on the couch. And then suddenly I was surrounded by darkness. But it wasn't like if you switch off the light in a room where you can see nothing in front of you. It's like outer space kind of darkness where you can see what's out there, but it's dark. There's nothing but blackness, right? And I expected to see dead loved ones. So I'm looking around for them. And I hear a voice next to me. And I recognize the voice. I know that I know this.
Before she gets into this part, I find it interesting that her mother had an NDE and then she had one too. It's pretty, it's interesting.
And I recognize the voice. I know that I know this. This, I want to say person, but I know who this, is.
I know
it's male. And he just says, this is it. This is the life you lived.
This is it.
Like no drama, no significance, just plain and simple. This is it. This is your life. This is the life you lived. And suddenly there was a pinpoint of light in the distance. And
dun, dun, dun.
And suddenly there was a pinpoint of light in the distance. And I hear a voice at the same time as I'm watching this light travel this distance to me at the speed of light. And the voice says, is this what you really want? Well, I had never even considered that this was what I want. It was what I had to do in my view. And so this light comes to the edge of this barrier, whatever this is. And it's a man, like in the shape of a man. And he's made of light. And his hair is flowing. And his robes are flowing. But he's just beautiful and made of light. And
it's beautiful and made of light, has the robes. How often do we see the robes?
I say, but my life is so hard. And all of this is just like this energy exchange, thought exchange. And it's just bam, 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 bam. And he says, well, you can't skip over parts. It's supposed to be hard. You've done a lot of nonsense in your life was kind of the message that I got.
You've done a lot of nonsense in your life. Just so you know, Jesus, again, you've done a lot of nonsense. So far, Jesus, we've seen a couple of very critical cases here. Jesus ain't putting up with any crap. Telling it like it is.
He says, well, you can't skip over parts. It's supposed to be hard. You've done a lot of nonsense in your life was kind of the message that I got. That I'd been, even though my life had been really, hell.
Even though my life had been hell. Welcome to Earth.
And I really felt like I couldn't have changed anything. Like the message that I got is that I've always been in charge. And
the message I got was I've always been in charge. No, doesn't really work that way down here. We are in charge in the grand scheme of things, especially when we leave this physical body. But because of the situation, being in the body, being in a realm that is literally like a prison, we come here and we're thrown into the elements and we're fighting against, not necessarily fighting, but going back and forth with good and evil. And okay, you're going to run into some bad eggs once in a while, and you're going to run into a lot of good people while you're here. but it seems like trauma and struggle and the ups and downs of life are just standard operating procedure within this matrix. And again, it's always just explained away as if it's nothing. Oh, I'm on a mission. Oh, I have this. Oh, I have this to do. Oh, you've got to go back to help humanity. You've got to do this or that, blah, 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 blah. It's always something. And I seriously think these people come back and, from all accounts, oftentimes after a period of depression and anxiety, because they are back in the body, which usually lasts, from what I can tell, roughly about 2 years. And then I think they spend those 2 years trying to grapple with the fact that they're back. And it's not easy. But then they run into things like, oh, well, in this case, she knew what near-death experiences are. But in other cases, you for people who don't even know what they are, or maybe just heard of them but don't know the details, they probably entrench themselves in books, on the websites, reading through people's experiences, going on YouTube and hold on, various other websites, plowing through NDE after NDE after NDE, and they're getting confirmation. Okay, I'm not alone. I'm okay. And then they come out the other end better, improving upon, probably getting out of that depressive slump to some extent, and the anxiety. Sometimes, garnering the courage to come out and share their experience, possibly even write a book, maybe go to, give lectures or something. That's like more on the extreme end. But it is not easy for these people. And, again, we have to have compassion and empathy for these situations. But the Earth experience is designed on purpose for suffering and this negative energy extraction that is emitted and somehow feeded on. And positive too, but it's primarily we can see around us. It's very evident that the negative is like the good stuff that they feast on, and our creative energy, and keep us cycling back.
And I really felt like I couldn't have changed anything. Like, the message that I got is that I've always been in charge, and that this was all part of it. The experiences that I was having was part of this grand experience, and that was for my good. And then, and I was
It was
still
for
just,
my good. Everything, it's for our good. It's just about your spiritual evolution, and things are gonna, you're gonna do your job. You got your guidebook, which is non-existent, and yeah, you're gonna play out your role the way you're supposed to. Doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. I meant to add on to the last point previously, that most of the time they do improve their lives, and some people around them, they might, do a lot of charity work or start organizations. All sorts of really, really good things can end up coming out of someone who has an NDE, but it's a struggle. It's a real struggle for them.
I was having was part of this grand experience, and that was for my good. And then, and I was still just, kind of dumbfounded, number one, that processing that I'm having this conversation with who I need to be God. And then, but obviously it wasn't going anywhere, because I was pretty determined that I couldn't be or do anything different than what I had already been doing and having. So then I hear this other voice, and it is the same voice that was with me at the beginning of my near-death experience, that said, "This is your life." And I hear him, but I cannot see him. And he is next to this being of light that I'm talking to, but there's some kind of a barrier and I can't see him. But I hear his voice and he says, "Don't you understand? I did this for you." And when he says that, I see these pinpricks of light start to appear. And then suddenly, all these things happened at the same time.
Don't you understand? I've done this for you. Don't you get it? You little minion. I mean, it's like, what's up with Jesus talking down to people? Don't you get it? I've done this for you. I mean, that's the interpretation I get. You know, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm using her words and what she said earlier, and then, of course, the account we heard before this.
See these pinpricks of light start to appear, and then suddenly, all these things happened at the same time. I am suddenly behind these two beings of light. And they are having this energetic conversation back and forth like lightning, exchanging information. And the one who I knew to be Christ was like transferring my life experience to this other being who I knew to be God or my Heavenly Father, transferring this information. And he says, she doesn't understand. And at the same time, I'm still out in that darkness, in that beltway, watching this happen.
Okay, this is when it gets really good.
And I can see myself standing there. And then I had a third perspective, and that was within the body of Christ 2,000 years ago when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane.
Okay. So she gets transferred.
Like experiencing my life as if it was his own.
It's you know, you could look at this NDE and say, "Oh, something seems off here." But at the same time, it's very interesting to have the NDE component of a person who goes through a life review and experiences the, you know, like a wrongdoing they may have done to a person. Okay. And then the life review transfers them as if they're living through that bad moment or that negative wrongdoing you may have done. And so in this case, they set it up where, you know, she's, you know, Jesus this, Jesus that. And they're like, okay, let's, you know, send her back 2,000 years and give her the full on experience of what Jesus had. Nuts. So, I mean, it you know, to me, it seems authentic.
Body of Christ.
Whatever it takes to get a person to buy into the scam and, of course, get them back here.
2,000 years ago when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, like experiencing my life as if it was his own. And then I came to understand that that is what happened in the Garden of Gethsemane. It wasn't just this, you know, sterile kind of, you know, blood from every pore experience. It was like he experienced my life from the beginning to the end as if it was his own. Like he got my point of view, but he did that for everybody.
The initial experience was a sense of coming to out of darkness and realizing I have left my body, I've died. Now, mind you, I didn't know I'd overdosed, you see. My body's sort of this opaque thing.
I just want to say, when this is, what, Jesus Christ television? I just want to say that when, this is my analysis, I'm not casting any shade on this guy, but when I see eyes like this, that is a sign of a more than likely very deep cult member. You see this with all sorts of weird brainwashing. They have these eyes, this gaze upon them that is just very noticeable. And, you know, apply it to your NDE research too, or whatever path you're going on when you're listening to somebody. It's a very, very interesting trait that will pop up time and time and time again.
Left my body, I've died. Now, mind you, I didn't know I'd overdosed, you see. My body's sort of this opaque thing. I'm sort of floating through space. I'm coming into this presence of this white light. It was like life. That's the only way I could interpret it. I wasn't afraid. I felt absolutely safe. My body was, when I looked at it, it was almost kind of see-through, but I felt okay. And I thought, I've died, but I feel wonderful. This feels great. This is an incredible experience. And then I found myself focusing on this light that I was coming into the center of, that I was merging with, if you will. And the only thing I can say, because I was not a born-again Christian, but I thought, I think this is
Actor for Jesus Christ Television.
Jesus. I couldn't see anybody, but there was a personality in the presence of this light. It was white light, indescribable in its purity. And the other feelings that went with it were, I'm loved. I'm in the presence of love.
D nailed
There's
it.
no sense of time at all. And in the presence of knowledge. And I felt so good, so loved. And again, I just knew that this was Jesus.
I just knew it was Jesus. So much love. It has to be Jesus. Who else could it be? Come on, guys. Right? It's Jesus. All right, I'm packing up this channel and going. Let's go. All right, end stream.
Sense of time at all. And in the presence of knowledge. And I felt so good, so loved. And again, I just knew that this was Jesus. And he said, Jonathan, I want you to look at your life. And then every moment, every thought, every action, everything that I saw, beheld, did, I was living it. From the beginning all the way through until that present time. That's the only way I can describe it. I was living my life. No judgment on it, just this is your life. It's over. And I'm in his presence again, aware of that. And he said, Jonathan, what did you see? And I said, I just see negative, destructive choices my whole way. There's nothing good. All my thoughts, the suspicions, everything.
It's all negative. Negative. You know, you did so many wrongs and you were so awful. Jesus, but I knew it was Jesus. It has to be Jesus. Isn't Jesus all loving? No judgments. Died on the cross. But, you know, we're going to send this little energy bomb of negativity to make sure that you feel really shitty.
Negative, destructive choices my whole way. There's nothing good.
Nothing good.
All my thoughts, the suspicions,
nothing good.
Negative.
All negative.
That's my life.
That's my life. Just a bumble of negativity. Thank you, Jesus, for pointing it all out.
And he said, all right. Then it faded away.
I suddenly realized that that body is dead. And I'm too young to die. I'm only 20 years of age. And then all of a sudden I thought the light at the head end of the room was getting brighter, but it was growing in an intensity of light to where if you turned on 1,000,000 welders' lights, you'd have some idea of the intensity. 3 things happened at the exact same moment. Something deep inside of my spiritual being, not the corpse lying over in the bed, said, stand up, you're in the presence of the Son of God. At that exact same instant, out of this brilliant light stepped the most amazing being I have ever met.
The Son of God.
And those hospital walls virtually disappeared. I saw every single minute detail of my life, everything I had ever done in public and private, from seeing my own cesarean section birth through my 20th year when I was pronounced dead. And he threw a question, what had I done with my life? And I thought, well, I'm an Eagle Scout. Immediately he shot back, that glorified you. And the same question again, what have you done with your life? Now, over there in that realm, there is no such thing as hypocrisy, because one of the first things that you become aware of is that the other being is totally aware of what you think, so you can't think one thing and say another. There's no such thing as
Yeah, you know, everything's telepathic. So, you know, you just left your body. You had an experience as a human. You're used to being able to keep your thoughts within you until you verbalize them, or occasionally may experience a telepathic moment here and there in life. And then all of a sudden you're thrusted into this experience with entities who are capable of reading your mind, and you realize that, oh, I can do that too. But they have the upper hand. Isn't that kind of a problem? Isn't it kind of a problem where something is going to have an upper hand over you, no matter how you slice and dice it, whether you believe this stuff and buy into that, you know, all NDEs are on the up and up, and that Earth is exactly, you know, it's a learning experience, spiritual development, blah, blah, blah. You know, reincarnation is good, and, you know, it's for our lessons, for our own good. If you could buy into all that, you can't deny the fact that when you're being immediately prone to another being's game or another being's influence is fairly easy if it's just a telepathic communication where, you know, everything is able to be read. They have your life review on hand. They have all this stuff, and, you know, they hit you with a love bomb on top of it. It's a big problem. You can see how something can easily manipulate you at that moment. No, but instead, yeah, let's just roll the dice. No big deal. Everything's fine. We're just going to roll the dice, and, you know, I trust these entities. I trust them wholeheartedly. They are Jesus. They are God. They are whoever, my deceased relatives, whoever they are. I am buying into it, and that's the bottom line. No, it's nonsensical to immediately, upon leaving your body after being used to being a human for however many years, in this case, he was a human for 20 years. I think he said he had an NDE at 20. And then all of a sudden you're just into a different type of existence, and boom, you're just immediately bombarded by entities who have all these incredible abilities and powers, and you're just kind of waking up and saying, oh, okay, I'm able to do this, I'm able to do that. You know, it's way different than being human. And they just, an onslaught over and over and over. See this time and time again in NDEs. Couldn't be more obvious that this blind trust is what causes a huge problem with us falling for it. It's blind trust. It's just doesn't make sense.
misunderstanding what he meant. And yet, here was a being that knew everything about me. And he totally accepted me, and he totally loved me. Now that blew my mind.
When I got to the light, the love was so incredible, the acceptance, the forgiveness. There was pure knowledge. I knew everything.
No, you didn't.
And I knew everything was going to be okay.
You were told everything's going to be okay. You were under the assumption that you had all knowledge.
And when I first got there, I was greeted by someone to my side, and it was a man.
Praise the Lord.
And he was dressed in a robe. And he showed me over to my side, there was a long table. And at this table were thousands and thousands of people on either side of the table talking and chatting and conversing and having a good time and laughing, and everyone was having a party-like atmosphere. And I remember when I looked at the table, instantly one person turned and looked straight at me and caught me in the eye, and it was my grandmother. Dun, dun, dun. And she said to me, she goes, "You can't stay here. It's not your time yet."
You listen to me. You can't stay here. You listen to good old grandma. She knows what's up. She knows what's best for you. You can't stay here. What are you doing over here? Get back to Earth now. Go back. Go back to that body that's suffering.
The person turned and looked straight at me and caught me in the eye, and it was my grandmother. And she said to me, she goes, "You can't stay here. It's not your time yet." And I instantly said, I'm not leaving. I'm staying. I love it here.
And she's back on Earth.
I'm accepted here for what I am. I'm forgiven for everything I'd ever done. And I did not want to leave for any reason. And when I say I asked, you don't talk like you're speaking, like I'm talking to you right now. You speak in a way of what I believe that we call telepathy. You know what the other person is saying, and you converse that way. The next thing that happened to me was I asked to see the Christ, whom I address as the Christ. Maybe your higher spirit, your guardian angel, whatever. But to me, it was
Which one is it? Really? I mean, which one is it? Higher self? Just listen to this.
Converse that way. The next thing that happened to me was I asked to see the Christ, whom I address as the Christ. Maybe your higher spirit, your guardian angel, whatever. But to me,
Okay. Your higher spirit, your guardian angel, the Christ. We've got 3 different things going on there. There's a disconnect because which one is it?
it was the Son of God. And instantly,
To me, it was the Son of
this
God.
love that I felt intensified millions of times over. And there was another man standing next to me, and I knew immediately it was Christ. And I was looking down at his feet, and I kept coming up higher and higher, and I was coming up to his face. And when I got to his face, I couldn't see any facial features.
You know how often you'll hear that? You look into NDEs with Jesus or some sort of godly or archetypal figure. They often can't see the face. Not always. Some people claim to see the face. But a lot of times you'll hear this. You'll hear this exact type thing where they, not like, I'm crawling up Jesus's body and, plowing through his underwear to get up to, to see what the hell's going on. But, they can't usually see a face. But, if you have some preconceived view on how Jesus should look, then why is the face hidden? Why is the face hidden?
Higher, and I was coming up to his face, and when I got to his face, I couldn't see any facial features. It was all brilliant light, and it didn't burn your eyes. It's not like staring at the sun where you can't look for very long and then you have to look away. This was a brilliant light that you could look at, and you wanted to stay there. You were drawn to it.
You were drawn.
And I remember the love.
You were drawn to it. I remember the love. Again, love bomb. You were drawn to it. This is some sort of energy emitting thing that's going on, and it's just making its presence known and totally blinding anyone that runs into it. And there just becomes this, auto acceptance, auto recognition. It's shaped around belief system. It is some really diabolical stuff. I am sorry. It's ridiculous that this is not being questioned more, especially by, the bigger NDE researchers out there. just the blind trust just amazes me. And if it was on the up and up, why does it need a love bomb? Why does it need to emit this mechanism? And why are the accounts different? Why is everything shaped around belief systems? That's something NDE researchers all agree on. That it is belief-based driven experiences. Isn't that deceptive in and of itself? Isn't that just, I mean, not even if you don't even want to call it deceptive, questionable. Okay? That something you're experiencing is molded around a set of belief systems. And how you experience it is based on those beliefs. It's just, you get what I'm saying.
And I remember the love, the forgiveness, the truth. Truth was known, knowledge was known. Everything was going to be okay. That was the message at all times to me. The Christ, when he arrived, immediately started what near-death experiencers call as a life review. And for me, how mine worked was, it was like a screen, and on the screen were pictures of people's faces. And these people were the people that I had had interaction with throughout my entire lifetime. And whatever I had caused that person to feel as a result of my interaction with them, that's what I felt for a brief second.
Very typical NDE experience right there. Like textbook. Like if you know, you go through the life review, you get the good moments, and then the moments that you might have done someone wrong, you experience it through their, as if you were experiencing it through them. You know, we've talked about this 1,000 times.
That person to feel as a result of my interaction with them, that's what I felt for a brief second. Very intense. Whether it was we had a good interaction or we had a bad interaction, I felt that intensity, and then it kept rolling, just fast as could be, just lightning fast of people's faces. But yet I comprehended everything that was going on. Time has no meaning. The time that I was there by earthly terms was 4 hours, but it seemed like I was there only a few seconds. But time has no...
Oh shit, my mic was clipping. Is this any better? Please just let me know. I'll continue playing the NDE.
meaning there. The next thing, the Christ asked me, he said, "What did you learn from seeing all of these faces?" And I said to him that love was the best choice. And he said, "You're right."
Okay, let's just, classic.
And I said to him that love was the best choice.
You got to ask yourself, if she's saying to him, love is the best choice, and you're engulfed in a love bomb, aren't you kind of being guided down a certain path that you would most likely spit out something like that? I'm just saying. I mean, it would kind of make sense that if you're experiencing, just think about something you experience here on Earth. You smoke a joint and you get high. That has a certain feel, and you know what it feels like to smoke a joint and get high. All right? They initiate a love bomb on you. This energy, it feels a certain way, similar to love on Earth, but times a zillion or 1,000 or 100. We've heard it how many times that it's the most love they've ever felt, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And just magically, Love is where it's at. Love's the answer. Wonder how she just, came up with that in that moment. Because she was, basically intoxicated with a love bomb of euphoria. More love than she likely ever experienced on Earth. And then she's giving the answer. She's making her statement known. Under the influence. She's under the influence of a love bomb. We're going to have to pull her over and do a love breathalyzer on her.
There. The next thing, the Christ asked me, he said, what did you learn from seeing all of these faces? And I said to him that love was the best choice. And he said, you're right. And I saw how I had to be careful how I treated people. Mm-hmm. And I never will forget that part of my near-death experience. The next thing the Christ showed me was a pool of water. I'm sorry, more of a pond. And it was outside, and there were trees around it, and a single drop of water, like a raindrop, fell. And I could see the ripple effect of when the drop of water fell into the pond. And he said, don't you see, your actions are just like the ripple effect in that pond.
That's it.
Everything you do not only affects those people, but it affects those that ripple on and further out and further out and further out. Touches people's lives that I had no idea, but it does. It has the ripple effect. The Christ then told me that I would have to go back, and I of course I didn't want to. I wanted to stay, horribly I wanted to stay. And he said, I want you to remember these three things. And what I was told was, number one, to have more love, which I've contemplated years now, since my near-death experience, exactly what facets that could mean. The second one was not to be afraid of what I had left behind. And I'm not real proud of a lot of the choices I've made in my life. I've made some bad choices. I've made some good ones, but I understood what he meant when he said that. And then the last thing was to enjoy life. And life is short. And then we come into a different place.
When I step...
Okay, so, the next one we're going to go over is from the Christian Broadcasting Network. So obviously, just like Jesus Christ Television, take it with a grain of salt. I mean, the reason I throw these out there is just to kind of put a little mix together, and in hopes that you'll go and again do your own research. So and this one came from a channel that unfortunately got deleted, but they put together a good mix. So anyways, I'm gonna take a 5-minute break, gonna refill my water really quickly, and we will catch up with each other in a little bit. So thank you for spending some time with me. Oh, really quickly, I'm sorry. I wanted to apologize to Tom S. because he had sent a $5 super chat earlier in the show, and then I kind of got engulfed in the NDE. So Tom S. for $5. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it. Tom says, the sad thing is most of humanity is going to fall for all kinds of tricks and then get recycled back into this insane world. That is so true. It's set up in a way that is all but, I mean, I would love to know the percentage of escapees. I really would. I think it's so small that it would probably blow our minds. And it's just not right. I mean, it's just not right to have to be the underdog so easily in so many different ways and have this entire experience that you go through, and then you come out on the other end and you think that, you're dealing with something that has your best interest at heart, and then it sends you back, or it keeps you within its matrix. And, again, like, we cannot discount the possibility of, multiple physical realities out there. I mean, if again, I always try to think in terms, if I was a parasite running this place, once like I started to get a sense that, a certain group, or, certain individuals that came through and cycled through started to maybe kind of get a feeling something was wrong, I would plop them down in another physical reality or another part of the matrix where, they're just spinning their wheels all over again. And because maybe there is that lack of familiarity there, maybe, just maybe, they'll stick around longer. I mean, it's some things to consider. We have no clue how big and how massive this system is. All we do know is that this place is a nut house and that the astral realm is linked to it. If not, I heavily suspect the entire astral realm is hooked to it. I mean, that's my interpretation of it. Do I know that for certain? No, but am I going to take any risk whatsoever when I'm leaving here? No, I'm not going to worry about, going to explore astral realms that are not mine and possibly get caught up in some bullshit again. No, hell no. All right. So, I'm going to take a quick break. Simon's headed out. Simon, always good to see you, brother. Sleep well, my friend. All right. So I'm going to take 5 minutes and I will see you shortly. Thanks again for joining me, and see you in a few minutes. Thank you. Be about 20, 30 more seconds, my friends. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Okay. All right. Here we go. I'm going to jump right back into it. Courtesy near-death experience, courtesy of the Christian Broadcasting Network.com. Guaranteed to be authentic at all times. Okay, here we go.
Into heaven. I mean, I hit the light, and
Let me just rewind that really quick.
when I stepped into heaven, I mean, I hit the light, and I was literally blinded by the light. I'm blinded still today of the light of his presence. I stood up, I turned around, and there was Jesus. And I don't know if I ran to him or he came to me. I mean, all of a sudden we were there. He just smiled at me, and I felt all this emotion that he had for me. I finally felt like I was home. It was like I stepped into, finally I belonged. This is where I belonged.
So finally she's home. This is where she belonged. And it's a very common response that we hear from NDEers that, they felt home. They felt like they were finally home. Now, the question everyone should be asking themselves is, okay, it is extremely obvious that the human body is not our authentic form of existence, right? So going off of that obvious knowing, when we cross over, or in this case, someone has an NDE, it would probably, even though they roll out the red carpet, they do all sorts of crazy things to manipulate and deceive those experiencing it, it would kind of go without saying that we would feel home automatically because the body is shed and we're in like more of our natural form, right? So even just hold on one sec here, sorry. Even just the crossing over into our, in this case, like an astral body, or, our true essence, so to say, it would automatically feel like home. Then you pound someone with love bombs and Jesus and God and all sorts of other things. It's over. It's over. You can see how it's so easy to be manipulated in a situation like this. That's all. That's all I'm saying. This human body is not our true form. So immediately when you leave it, I mean, if you've experienced astral projection, you would have had a similar type of feeling. It's the release of the physical body, not being connected to it as much, or if at all, except maybe the silver cord, and you're experiencing, no pain, nothing. It's just, you're just in your true form. So again, it feels like home just off that one thing alone. Then you pound people with the love bomb and God and Jesus or whatever, dead, deceased loved ones, and it just makes it seem normal. I'm at home. I'm normal. There's great grandma Betty. There's mom. There's dad. There's Jesus. There's God. Okay, I've got to be home. Where else could I be? And I don't have any more. I don't have any more attachment to that body that I just left. So easy, so easy to be manipulated in these areas.
I was home. In my heart of hearts, I did not believe that I was worthy of his love. Because I always felt like I was never going to measure up to what I thought the Lord wanted from me.
I didn't feel worthy. I never thought I was going to measure up with what the Lord wanted. So immediately guilt.
In my heart of hearts,
shame.
I did not believe that I was worthy of his love.
Oh, come on.
Because I always felt like I was never going to measure up to what I thought the Lord wanted from me. So
why is that? Isn't Jesus supposed to be the grand Pumbaa of niceness? And, everyone, it seems like there's a lot of judgment going on here. Oh, here's Jesus in the field.
Because I always felt like I was never going to measure up to what I thought the Lord wanted from me. So when I felt his emotion, I felt how he felt about me.
Come here, Jesus.
And the things that I thought about myself, like my flaws or my issues, he never even noticed. He just wants me. It wasn't anything that I did for him. It wasn't my performance, nothing.
Jesus taking a walk in the park.
It was just me.
It's just me.
I wasn't just loved by him, but he was in love with me. And I was his. That was it. I was done for. He said, you can stay if you want to. And I said, well, if I can stay, I'm staying with you. I'm going to stay with you. And he said, but your purpose isn't done. And he said, I want you to tell the people who I am, who I really am. Because I thought he was, religious. I thought he was mean. I thought he was, I didn't think he was, human.
Wait a minute. You thought he was mean?
Religious. I thought he was mean. And he said, I want you to tell the people who I am, who I really am.
Go back to Earth. Tell the people who I really am so you can, get more people to sign on to the deception.
Because I thought he was, religious. I thought he was mean. I thought
he was mean and I'm sorry, but the picture I got of Jesus growing up was, oh, everything is forgiven, everything's grand, he died for your sins, and everything's cool, and he loves you unconditionally, just like God. Even though if you look at the Bible, there's clearly a psychopathic God. Holy shit. Anyone who spends some time with the Bible can easily discern that. But, there are whole groups out there of, Bible sympathizers who, you can bring them a quote, you can bring them a section of the Bible, and they will twist it into whatever keeps you in line. Just think about having such a mammoth operation behind you for this place. I think bordering on, some natives in the jungle who have never left. Everyone on Earth has heard about this damn guy. That should be a little suspicious in and of itself, right? Given what we know about how there's this massive control system going on, and that has been in control for as far back as we can look, it's just been tweaked a little bit here and there. It might have, gone through a reset at some point. But the point is the same jerks are still in control that have been in control in the past. And that couldn't be more obvious. So we're going to just, they're the ones that, decide what gets popular, what doesn't. And so we're just supposed to, again, blindly trust that everything that is being presented to us is on the up and up. Hell no. I thought Jesus was, mean and judge me. No, that's not what I'm told.
Who I really am. Because I thought he was, religious. I thought he was mean. I thought he was... I didn't think he was,
Elevator music.
human. And he's human. He'll always be human, but he's God. I didn't want to leave him.
He'll always be human. He's God. I mean, I don't know. I grew up around this, okay? And there was quite a distinct difference between Jesus and God. I mean, I don't understand. When did this start happening where the two were combined? Am I missing something? Maybe it was just what I grew up in, but I mean, I was always under the impression that they were separate, but now all of a sudden Jesus turned into God. This is again, maybe I'm missing something, and I will freely admit that. But I was always under the impression we're dealing with two separate things. Jesus and God, the Son of God, okay? That isn't that supposed to be two different things? Again, disconnect. For me, I mean, again, maybe I'm just what I grew up around, but...
And he's human. He'll always be human, but he's God. I didn't want to leave him. I hated leaving, but I had to come back.
Had to. No choice.
I was transported into...
I had to come back, guys.
Come back.
I was transported into the tunnel of colors again. And I appeared on this hill. And on this hill, I saw the most beautiful scenery with so many awesome, vibrant colors. There was gold, and this gold was just unimaginable. Not like any kind of gold we see here on Earth, but there were gold wheat fields to my left as far as the eye could see, and there were gold cornfields to my right as far as the eye could see. And in the middle of the wheat and the cornfields, there was a valley with a stream running down the middle of it. And as I looked further, I saw people and children and this woman with a basket on her head.
I've read NDEs and heard NDEs like this before. I mean, it's something with this river, and it could be rolling hills and flowers, or in her case, wheat fields. And even in past life regressions, we hear about again. So this is where we see some leakage, some crossover of two different topics, specifically NDEs and past life regressions, where they will say that, they were transported to a moment like hers. And it could be rolling hills, flowers, flower meadows, and in her case, wheat. And, people are working, there's figures there that seem to be taking care of the flowers, taking care of the wheat. This is one of the, it's almost it can slightly change, but it's a similar thing that is seen regularly in NDEs and past life regressions and it almost feels in the past life regressions, it almost feels almost like a training ground to get someone used to the fact that they may work when they're sent down there. Again, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying that is definitely what's going on there, but that's what it kind of feels like.
In the cornfields, there was a valley with a stream running down the middle of it. And as I looked further, I saw people and children, and this woman with a basket on her head collecting corn and wheat. And it was just such a beautiful sight. And I was looking around, and all of a sudden Jesus comes walking up to my right side. And I
Praise the
knew
Lord.
it was Jesus, because it just the vibe, just the aura that he had around him was just so breathtaking and so peaceful.
Okay, again, you hear what she's saying? Listen.
Side. And I knew it was Jesus, because the vibe, just the aura that he had around him was just so breathtaking.
So breathtaking, so amazing. She just knew. How do you know?
So peaceful. And
just because, Jesus, the wannabe Jesus makes you feel good doesn't mean that that's what's going on. I mean, again, possible deception should always be it should be on the table. And I'm throwing out there that all these NDEs are going through a deceptive process. Now, does that mean that they're not real? Hell no. I believe NDEs happen. Absolutely. And some people left comments thinking that I don't believe in NDEs. I'm like, how the heck can you translate that out of me? I'm a firm believer that NDEs are very real. They are happening. But it's just the interpretation that I have of them is different than what's being presented. That's it. I'm not buying the bait, hook, line, and sinker. I did at one point, and I thought I had found answers, and then I realized over time that I was taken for a ride, and that there's enough red flags that pop up all over the place, and that nobody ever questions anything. Nothing. How is nothing questioned? Seriously, my friends, how can we all sit here, go plow through NDEs, and nothing is questioned about the negative shit that goes on here? It's just like it doesn't exist. Oh, love bomb solves everything. Everything's love. I knew everything. Everything is just automatic. Chalk it up. Okay, let's pack up our bags and go home. Everything's on the up and up. It's nuts. Nobody questions anything. Nobody puts these entities to the test and says, hey, they might talk about how they're, the person who's going through the NDE might actually say something like, oh, my life's been difficult and blah, 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 and I went through this and this and that. And it could be anything ranging from the minor to the absolute most heartbreaking thing you've ever heard. Okay? And all that is produced are excuses. All that is produced is excuses. You cannot excuse away what's happening here and go into a realm like that, and it doesn't match up with where you just came from and everything that you experienced in your whole life, and just say, okay, all set. That's where the love bomb comes in. That's where that's where all the indoctrination from Earth crosses over to here, right? I mean, they crisscross one another. There's a reason why people are familiar with things on the other side, is because they work in unison together. You're not supposed to be questioning these types of things, because you're just supposed to go along with it. And just imagine if any of us had a love bomb tool. Just imagine if we had that ability to go around and just drug everyone around us and just do whatever the hell we wanted. It's a weapon. The love bomb is a freaking weapon. And belief systems are a weapon that is used against these people, these spirits who go and have these experiences. It's just, okay, that's enough.
Just the aura that he had around him was just so breathtaking and so peaceful.
And she knew.
And I remember looking at his white robe and his sandals, but I was too scared to look at his face or his eyes. And
too scared to look at his face or his eyes. That's another point that comes up. Some people say that they're scared. And you know where that comes? That comes from the Bible. That's Bible programming at its finest. So I can't look. I can't look.
I remember looking at his white robe and his sandals, but I was too scared to look at his face or his eyes. And he all of a sudden went like this, as to say, this is just a little glimpse of heaven. This is just a little bitty tiny piece of heaven that I'm showing you. And I'm just so honored that he did show me what I saw. And I don't think I'll ever forget, because it was just such a beautiful, beautiful sight. All of the colors, all of the aura, everyone was singing also. The workers down there that were collecting the wheat and the corn, they were so happy to be there, and they were singing beautiful, beautiful music that was just so peaceful. And I just wanted to let you guys in on what I have seen. At the time of what happened, I was a pagan. I was very much a sinner. I did not know of Jesus. I knew I had heard about him every now and then, but I did not know Jesus, which makes me very thankful that he did show me what I have seen.
Well, I mean, going through all these NDEs, when you start to really awaken to the deception that's going on here, it really takes its toll. It does, because you want to just sit down with the person, every single one of them, and just try and explain your side of things. And the compassion and the empathy just runs rampant, because you feel deep within you that the misdirection that's going on, the how someone's being taken advantage of, and they're sent back, and it's supposed to be this loving situation, and you've got, just you have things to do when you come back here. Your life plan isn't complete, and it's just, it bothers me. I mean, it really does. I mean, some of these things really take it out of me, but I really feel that there could be no more important topic for us to be talking about, so that more people become aware that, just question things. Just at a minimum, you have to question everything. And when you see the type of things that they're doing, the methods, the probable technologies that they have access to win people over, win good-hearted spirits over, and keep them on that fishing line. It's sad. It's really, really heartbreaking stuff.
I wasn't afraid. It was like, I'm going home. When I first entered in, it was just bright. It wasn't so much what I saw as much as what I experienced. The first thing I perceived was everything is right. There's nothing wrong here. And I said, it's past peace. You know, there's a scripture in the Bible in Philippians, the 4th chapter, that says, peace past understanding. That's what's going on there. It's landscape, but more, because everything's alive. Nothing's dead. I don't mean just live like grass. I mean, it's intelligent, it can move, you know, it thinks. And someone says, well, that's way out.
Okay, and before he continues, that's another thing that pops up. Everything is, you know, connected. Everything has a consciousness or a spirit, however you want to term it. And I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, you would think that we've probably been here so long, and you know, I'm not going to go too crazy with this and hog up too much time, but I want to say that I truly feel that when we first get here, we probably experience something like being a tree, being a blade of grass, you know, experiencing just pure existence within the matrix, okay? And then we probably slowly upgrade to things like, it could be like a worm or a fish, or, you know, and then we, you know, maybe a monkey or an ape or a dolphin or who knows what. And then eventually you reach this pinnacle point where they're like, okay, now let's throw you in the human body. And if you think about it, it would make sense to have a conditioning process like that, right? I mean, if you're running a parasitic matrix, again, I really can't stress this enough, my friends. Always try to put yourself in the shoes of the parasites, and how, you know, if you're a sick bastard, how would you run it? Okay. And it would make sense that you would be something early on, like a blade of grass or a leaf on a tree or a tree trunk, or, you know, whatever, or a mushroom. It's just something. You're just experiencing your surroundings. It's new, it's different. And then, you know, you eventually die, you know, willow out, whatever. And then you kind of get upgraded. Then now, you know, maybe you'll be a worm or a bird or, you know, something. And then eventually, then they smash you with the human experience. And yeah, I mean, that's really what I highly suspect happens. Am I saying it's for certain? No. But I mean, if I ran this place like a parasite, I would kind of give spirits out there, you know, like a more enjoyable beginning. And then eventually, you know, you creep in the pain factor, the more emotional factor. And, oh, okay, well, this is different. You know, you start off from a real base existence of just existing, and then you kind of move forward. And then all of a sudden you start having, you know, pain and, you know, maybe depression or anxiety, or, you know, I mean, that would be how I'd run it.
Past understanding, that's what's going on there. It's landscape, but more, because everything's alive. Nothing's dead. I don't mean just live like grass. I mean, it's intelligent, it can move, you know, it thinks. And someone says, well, that's way out there. It was way out there for me. You know, I'll tell you the truth. The first thing that comes to me is he's bright, just like John says, he's brighter than the noonday sun. And the next phrase I say, I wish people could grab it, and it's this one, and we can look at him. And what you're looking at is not so much the physical part of it. You're really experiencing the love he has for you. And I tell people it's like he only loves you and no one else.
He only loves you and nobody else. Well, he sure loves a lot of other people who have NDEs.
I saw him communicating to angels. He would just look at them. Communication there was thought to thought. They would acknowledge his receiving his information, bow before him like this. And
bow before him, that's indoctrination. That's programming. Again, that's the assumption that you're dealing with something that's representing itself to be what it's saying. No.
Then back out. And it was like, wow.
Bow.
And
There
I
are
don't
no
tell you the
bowing
truth.
up in here.
I was happy. I was planning on staying, you know, and people always say, yeah, you know, didn't you love your wife and your children? Yes, I loved them probably more than I ever could. But I was thinking, you come here where everything is right.
The place that I was in had no ceiling. It was just blue sky up above. There were about 150 to 200 people there, and they were beautiful. They were so thrilled to see me.
Ding, 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 ding. This is a Matrix commonality in NDEs. They were so happy to see me. I mean, how many NDEs can you cross that talk about, they're cheering the person on. Some people talk about entering a state. I know I've talked about this 1,000 times, but it's important to keep reiterating it because he's talking about it right now and providing an example of, these people talk about walking into a stadium. The stadium's packed and they feel that they know everybody and everyone's cheering them on, boosting that, giving that real good ego boost. And think about it. It's just feeding the ego to make someone feel special. Again, think in the terms, if you're running the place, you're going to make each person, each spirit feel special as if they are the talk of the town in order to win them over. And then it's like a conveyor belt. Next NDE, next reincarnation, boom, boom, boom. Just laying it all out there.
There were about 150 to 200 people there, and they were beautiful. They were so thrilled to see me.
So thrilled.
Nobody has ever been that thrilled to see me.
Ego.
They were all applauding.
Ego boost.
Many of them
makes
were
them feel
crying.
good.
Every one of them had to hug me. Some 2 or 3 times had to hug me. I hugged every one of them. They were communicating an affection, a level of affection that is, I've never had that before, ever. Way back in the distance, way up behind me, on the top of a mountain, so big that it had this winding road all the way up it, and there were so many people on that road going up and coming down that the hill looked like it was alive, like it was like a beehive, just constantly moving.
Like a beehive, like a hive mind, constantly moving, constantly in line with one another, constantly agreeing, and all falling into line and just doing as they are told.
Road all the way up it, and there were so many people on that road going up and coming down that the hill looked like it was alive, like it was like a beehive, just constantly moving. On the top of the hill, very clearly delineated, was a Syrian mountain man. And he looked an awful lot like Jesus. He looked to be about 15.
Just saying. I'm just saying, guys, he looked an awful lot like Jesus up there. Just so you know.
Clearly delineated was a Syrian mountain man. And he looked an awful lot like Jesus.
An awful lot like him.
He looked to be about 15 feet tall, long hair, beard.
Again, 15 feet tall. Why does Jesus have to be towering over people or spirits? That's an intimidation tactic. You can argue with me till the cows come home, but that's intimidating, right? Someone has that experience. They're being towered over by a 15-foot Jesus. That's intimidating.
He looked an awful lot like Jesus.
An awful lot like him, just saying.
He looked to be about 15 feet tall, long hair, beard, mustache.
15
and just
feet.
the most piercing and kind eyes. He asks you a question. What did you do for your fellow man? It's a life review. You're going year by year through your whole life. Anytime you're stuck and you don't recall, one of the walls comes alive as the movie of your life.
Now, I just want to say, when I heard his NDE, you hear, you know, just whenever you get stuck, you know, the walls come alive and they share it. How easy would it be right then and there to have an implanted memory? I mean, it would be a fantastic area to just insert something that, you know, he could feel actually happen, when in fact, maybe it didn't. I'm just saying.
Anytime you're stuck and you don't recall, one of the walls comes alive as the movie of your life, and it shows you doing something for your fellow man. For me, it was when I was 10, 11 years old. I didn't know if I did anything for somebody then. And the wall came alive, and there I was as a crossing guard at my grammar school. And I just took that responsibility so seriously, especially with the little kids, the kindergartners and the first graders and so on. And according to wherever I was, I call it paradise, but that was what I did for my fellow man when I was 10.
So, I started seeing a white light.
Okay, so this next NDE, this man, you could just feel the everything about his experience as he says it. I mean, just I was thinking about even doing a video on just his experience as a commentary, but we'll just leave it at this for now.
Light while he's telling me. I started seeing a white light while he's telling me, Seth, stay with me, Seth, stay with me. And the first thing I noticed is I got scared knowing that I was dying. And I saw that light, and everything just went away, and I felt better. And I felt calm and relaxed, and I felt like I didn't see him physically, but there was a white veil. That's what I can say. I didn't see a tunnel. I didn't see any of that stuff. I saw a pure white light that was so bright, but I could look right into it. It was like a shop light, but 100 times brighter, but it didn't hurt your eyes.
Like 100 times brighter, but it didn't hurt your eyes. Very, very common, you know, like people say it's like the sun, but you can look at it. Very common data point here.
But I could look right into it. It was like a shop light, but 100 times brighter, but it didn't hurt your eyes. And I'm looking straight into it, and I'm like wondering what's on the other side of that, kind of like, what's on the other side of that? There's got to be something on the other side, but it was veiled is the best way I could describe it. That white light was the veil that kept me from entering heaven or whatever that other side was. I didn't know, but it was a white veil, and I could feel presences. This is another thing that's hard to explain is I didn't hear voices. I didn't hear something telling me, Seth, I didn't hear that. No, it was a download of like instant information. It was like, boom. And I just knew all these things. Like, boom, everyone you know and love is right here.
I just knew everything. Boom, everything's there. Everyone you know is here. Or however he's phrasing it. I mean, yeah, I mean, there is the rollout, very common, another data point of, you know, deceased loved ones, where they are, you know, again, familiar with their surroundings, familiar with those who are greeting them. And what's better than to, you know, have a earthly attachment that you may have had and cross it over into the astral, or you also have, you know, your soul group, soul family, who are waiting there just for you. And you're like, oh yeah, I remember you, you know. And it's all laid out like a perfect scenario to just fall victim to. It's Just so incredible.
And I could feel presences. This is another thing that's hard to explain is I didn't hear voices. I didn't hear something telling me, Seth, I didn't hear that. No, it was a download of like instant information. It was like, boom. And I just knew all these things. Like, boom, everyone you know and love is right here.
Download of instant information. So if it's a download, that means it's coming from somewhere exterior to you, right? And that's a common term used with NDEs, a download or, I knew everything, but, when you really start getting into the nitty gritty of NDEs, most of them talk about how the information was given to them. It wasn't something that they necessarily knew, even though they'll say, oh, I was all knowing, I knew everything, blah, blah, blah. No, it's a transmission. So something is sending that out to the person or the spirit going through the experience, and they're interpreting it as, being all knowing. But when in fact, what's really happening is the information is being transferred to them, again, in a vulnerable state. That can't be said enough, that, this is a vulnerable state that people are in. I say people, but, spirits are in, because they're in a different form, not a body, but they're very vulnerable and prone to being manipulated. It's a perfect storm.
No, it was a download of like instant information. It was like, boom. And I just knew all these things. Like, boom, everyone you know and love is right here. Boom, here's your buddy. Here's your dog who just passed away 10 days before you had your heart attack, which I think that stress kind of helped lead to my heart attack from me losing my best friend. But he was one of the first souls that I felt the presence of, was my dog Blue. And I just knew there was this other presence I couldn't pinpoint as a friend or family, but I swear I felt like he was my absolute best friend that I had ever met. He was my absolute best friend, and I never got his name really. I was just like, oh, hey, what's up, buddy? You're my absolute best friend, Who are you,
Didn't even know him. You're my absolute best friend. That's a soul family connection, like a soul group connection. That, like I mean, what else could it be other than his, he didn't incarnate with that, or I would assume, I don't want to make assumptions, but, I would think that what he's dealing with is a soul group member who's involved with him, and they all kind of, we can go down the whole past life regression aspect of that stuff. And I will say, just quickly, anyone who's interested in learning about, the craziness that's going on when we're outside the body, and we literally go through an indoctrination process with a soul group and ascended master, a teacher, a leader, and then there's also the council of elders after that. It's a whole setup and con job going on, and that's why it's really important to be able to look at all aspects of this, because it's not just NDEs. It goes way, way beyond NDEs. And if you want to peek into the insanity that's going on behind the scenes in the astral, check out my commentaries on Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. Specifically, watch it in that order: Journey of Souls first, then Destiny of Souls. I just want to warn people, it was a brutal couple series to do, and I was a lot of swears here and there, but the point is, it's very revealing. And even if you just want to listen to the books on your own, the audiobooks are out there, and you don't even need my commentary, and you could disseminate it yourself. But if you want to hear my commentary, just go into the channel's homepage and look for the 2 playlists. Or you could just go into the Matrix Reincarnation playlist, which is a master list of all the videos related to this topic. And again, start with Journey of Souls, then Destiny of Souls. And you'll see it. I mean, and even if you know, I don't like the way Michael Newton, you know, his interpretation of everything, but I smash it to bits and try and explain how, you know, this whole thing is a ruse. And, you know, past life regressions were kind of like the last aspect of looking into this stuff, because I really was hesitant to go down the hypnosis road, but I kept weaving in and out of it. And eventually you start seeing patterns that line up with other past life regression hypnotherapists. And, you know, we're talking about many, not just one. So if those data points are there and start to create a story, it's very clearly happening. And it would make sense that we go through this whole conditioning and indoctrination process when we're in the astral, because they have to try and convince us to come back down here. And then you can go a step further and look at pre-birth memories and how almost in lock, stock, and barrel, you will see time and time again how people didn't want to come back here. You know, the spirits didn't want to come back here. They dreaded it. But they end up going. But you know why? That's because then you go to the past life regressions and you see all this crap that's going on that eventually leads us to the final process that leads us down into the womb with a life script. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
Best friend that I had ever met. He was my absolute best friend.
Sorry about that.
And I never got his name really. I was just like, oh, hey, what's up, buddy? You're my absolute best friend, you know? Who are you, you know?
He knows.
I know who you are. You know who I am, but I didn't say his name and he didn't say my name, but it was Jesus Christ himself, who was my friend. And
in this case, you know, it's likely like a teacher, you know, like Jesus Christ is like a spirit guide or a ascended master, you know, that they throw all these things in there, and you'll see that in the books, Journey of Souls, Destiny of Souls. It's so obvious that they have these figureheads set up in order. As long as it keeps us within the matrix, that's all that matters. Whatever you're buying into, they will sell to you.
So I started, once I felt that feeling of peace, and I wanted to stay there. I didn't want to come back to whatever I was doing here. And I remember kind of arguing. This is another portion of my testimony, is a lot of my memory was kind of blanked. I don't remember every detail. One thing I do remember is...
That's the memory wipe. That's the memory wipe right there. Memory wipes happen in NDEs. I love how people don't think that these occur in NDEs and that, you know, all of a sudden that just throws away everything else. No, it happens in NDEs too. We have open admissions of it.
Doing here. And I remember kind of arguing. This is another portion of my testimony, is a lot of my memory was kind of blanked. I don't remember every detail. One thing I do remember is kind of arguing at the end.
Arguing.
Like, well, hell, come on, you know, like I've written Christian music and I've done this and that, and I was kind of stating my case, you know, come on, don't send me back there, come on. And
don't send me
this is when I heard the first actual audible words of my experience, and I was coming back to Earth as I heard it. But I started coming back into my body as I was arguing, please let me stay, please let me stay. And then I heard, no, not yet.
No, not yet. So he doesn't want to come back, and he is on his way back to the body. And they're like, no, sorry, too soon, not ready yet. We're sending you back right now. But he's got all these preconceived belief systems. He thinks he's met a best friend. He doesn't know how he knows this best friend. But mark my words, and he has a memory wipe on top of it. There's consent obviously being given somewhere, but he's also has clouded memory. Now, they make up, I've heard them make up excuses of things like, you know, like if we send you back, then your free will would be affected. You know, so we have to erase your memory of this, and that in order for you to have free will when you get back there. Otherwise, you wouldn't have it, and you'd be affected and go down a path that is based off your experience that you just had, instead of you just doing it on your own. So here, we're gonna zap your memory, and that's it. Oh, that just sounds very kosher. Sounds wonderful. All on the up and up. Everything's fine. No big deal. Come on.
Earth as I heard it. But I started coming back into my body as I was arguing. Please let me stay. Please let me stay. And then I heard, no, not yet.
No, not
I heard
yet.
the words, no, not yet. And that just tripped me out. And like, even though it's so simple and such an easy thing to understand, that those 3 words have been like so profound in my life, and they've changed my life.
I was immediately propelled into.
Okay, I'm going to take another 5-minute break and be back shortly. So hang tight, go take a stretch, fill your water or if you're going to fill your water, I'm going to fill my water. And I will see you back here shortly. Thank you for spending your time with me tonight. Appreciate it. See you in a moment, my friends. Okay. We are back. Yeah, Abraxas, I got your message, my friend. I'd love to set something up with you. Can you shoot me an email? foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. That's foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. No channel in that. And we could take it from there and work out a date. Okay. So we're going to dive right back into this. I don't know why. Okay, here we go. There we go. Excuse me. All right. Here we go. We're going to continue our NDE commentary session.
Those 3 words have been like so profound in my life, and they've changed my life.
I was immediately propelled into a white space. No ceiling, no floor, just a giant white space. And there was a tree, a very large, deciduous tree. It looked very healthy, full of leaves, green leaves. And a man walking toward me that looked very much like Jesus. I thought to myself,
he looked very much like Jesus. Again, it's just, it looked like Jesus. Looked like Jesus.
That looked very much like Jesus. I thought to myself, well, if Jesus is here, I must be dead.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
Made sense.
I was on such high doses of opioids. Of course, I've had an overdose. So I was pretty resigned that here I was standing in front of Jesus. Although I can honestly say I never expected to be standing in front of Jesus. He reached out his hand.
She never expected to be in front of Jesus. But that's what her experience gave her. Due to a belief system.
Although I can honestly say I never expected to be standing in front of Jesus. He reached out his hand and he grabbed my hand and said to me, "You've suffered enough. Come with me. Your life is over." And I immediately pulled my hand back from his, and I thought the most ironic thing that I've ever thought in my entire life. But who will take care of my husband if I leave? By then my husband was caring for me and taking care of the house and working a full-time job, and I was, for all intents and purposes, bedridden.
Okay. This is a really important part. I mean, think about what she's saying. Jesus is freaking gaslighting her. Gaslighting her. She doesn't want to come back, but all of a sudden, hubby comes into play. And if you do any research into these NDEs, you see time and time again where, well, I can't say time and time again. When I say that, I mean, I'm just talking about patterns that I pick up, okay? Some are extremely prevalent. Some are, in the middle of the road. But what you see is where the matrix will kind of roll out like a list of people that are back on Earth that you kind of need to do something for, or it makes you kind of feel guilty, like, oh, well, I mean, I've seen NDEs that they go through 4 or 5 different people who are back on Earth, and the first response will be like, oh, well, you've got to go back for your wife, and they're like, my wife will be fine. And then they'll be like, oh, well, you got your husband there too. Oh, my husband will be fine. I'm doing just fine. I don't want to go anywhere. I'm staying here. Then they go through like 2 children. And then all of a sudden they reach like, oh, a sick mom or a sick dad who's, on their deathbed, and they need you. And all of a sudden, everything changes. So they go from, having this like hell-bent resolve that they're not going to go any further, that they're going to stay put where they are. But then the Matrix finds this one person that they can connect with. And boop, that's it. Game over. They're coming back.
Back from his, and he reached out his hand, and he grabbed my hand and said to me, "You've suffered enough. Come with me. Your life is over." And I immediately pulled my hand back from his, and I thought the most ironic thing that I've ever thought in my entire life. But who will take care of my husband if I leave? By then, my husband was caring for me and taking care of the house and working a full-time job, and I was, for all intents and purposes, bedridden. So that was the most ironic thing I could have said. I also had a sense that it was my choice, that it.
She says, it's very ironic that, it was my husband.
So that was the most ironic thing I could have said.
Most ironic thing. So that I mean, it doesn't make sense to her. She's sitting here in front of us saying it doesn't make sense. It's ironic that, my husband was the catalyst for me coming back. But yet she's back. She's here to share her experience with us.
I also had a sense that it was my choice.
Yeah.
That it was my choice if I stayed in my life or if I went with him.
And then all of a sudden.
I just want to say really quickly about her choice, okay? She's knee deep in the Matrix at this moment, okay? So she is under the spell of entities, of her experience. She's openly admitting that, coming back for her husband was the most ironic thing imaginable, basically. But she's sent back. It's almost like, again, she's in an experience that is rolling out the carpet, trying to manipulate her, but it's like the most unexpected one that she has. Her husband. But she's sent back. I mean, what's up with that?
In my life or if I went with him.
And then all of a sudden I'm feeling this love and this wave of emotions coming from within the door.
Wave, like we talked about before. It's an energy wave. I know. I mean, I don't want to mean to keep pausing this, but the terms, the words that these people use are important. It's an energy wave. Like the love bomb is an energy wave. That Jesus is, and perceived Jesus is an energy wave that they are taking in and interpreting to be something that it just is not.
And then all of a sudden I'm feeling this love and this wave of emotions coming from within the door, and it gave me, I can't even say chills, goosebumps, but also I felt this image of love. There was so much love that I was receiving. And it was like every cell was leaping for joy, like it knew what this love was all about. And it was almost so overwhelming, I started crying.
Overwhelming that I almost started crying, or I did cry, however she proceeds with this. Again, it's an energy bomb. This is a frequency that she's receiving and interpreting a certain way.
was leaping for joy, like it knew what this love was all about, and it was almost so overwhelming. I started crying. And Richard's dad, he goes by the name Junior. He kind of picked me up and he said, "Now, I want you to look inside again." And I looked inside, and I could see the Lord sitting in like a chair, and he was taking children up onto his lap.
Oh,
and
creepy.
They were children of all ages, and as I watched this happening, I understood that there were babies, children of all ages, and that babies who have been aborted or have been lost in miscarriage, they don't die. They go to heaven too. And I didn't know.
And get reincarnated.
That. And as Jesus was taking a child up onto his lap, they were playing with his beard and playing with his long hair.
What is it, fucking Santa?
And he was listening to them, that child, and talking to that child. But at the same time, he was listening to everybody else at the same time and talking to everybody else at the same time. And I couldn't understand it, so I looked at Richard's dad, Junior, and I said,
"Ho, ho, ho."
Because Jesus can do this. And then I looked around a little more at heaven, and he said, you're only going to be here a little while longer, because the Lord said, it's not your time. He's going to send you back. But I saw this waterfall and these flowers, and this water that was falling was like singing praises to our Heavenly Father and to Jesus. Wow. And you could understand, even though it wasn't like in an English kind of language, you could understand exactly what this water was saying. And then, just to give you an example of the life there, I looked at this rose, and it was like it was calling to me, beckoning, but at the same time, loving the Lord. And every petal, every little part of this rose glorified the Lord. And
glorified. Yeah. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. Just blind acceptance.
And every petal, every little part of this rose glorified the Lord. And had like cells of music and sound and colors, these colors that you will never see till you go to heaven, because there are no earthly words to describe how beautiful it was.
Předtím nic o smrti nevěděl, nikdy jsem nic o smrti neslyšel, ani o křesťanství, ani o duchovních věcech. Jsme se prostě doma, ani v okolí, ani ve škole v tom 88. roce, o ničem takovém jsme se nebavili. A najednou ten okamžik smrti, to byla velmi zvláštní věc. Já jsem myslel, že to bude něco jakoby, že bude cvák jako vypínač světla. Cvák je tma, cvák je světlo. A ono se něco takového stalo, ale byl to takový cvák, takový jeden jediný okamžik, kdy ten okamžik smrti já můžu popsat tak, že já jsem se najednou ohlédl za sebe a na dně v té řece jsem viděl ležet své tělo, tak jak je tady teďka před vámi, tak jak já tady jsem, ale přitom já, tak jak se cítím v tento okamžik, jako moje osoba, Jan Boštík, moje identita, byla tady, ale moje tělo leželo tam. A to byl ten okamžik smrti, kdy moje duše se oddělila od mého těla. Potom vlastně následovalo to, že já jsem přemýšlel, co se stalo. Nevěděl jsem, kde jsem, nevím, proč se to stalo. Jediné, co jsem vnímal, že to jsem pořád já, a akorát jsem nevěděl, kde jsem.
Watch this. I didn't know why it happened.
Nevím, proč se vlastně následovalo to, že já jsem přemýšlel, co se stalo. Nevěděl jsem, kde jsem, nevím, proč se to stalo. Jediné, co jsem vnímal, že to jsem pořád já, a akorát jsem nevěděl, kde jsem. A najednou, aniž bych já sám chtěl, tak moje tělo bylo tažené takovým úzkým tmavým prostorem. Na jehož konci jsem se dostal do místa, které bylo osvětleno takovou růžovo-žlutou barvou. A v tom místě jsem najednou cítil pocity.
Then I suddenly felt feelings of happiness, euphoria, and joy. Happiness, euphoria, and joy. I mean, I brought up so many examples here that the love bomb is a euphoria rush. It's just this ridiculous frequency that is so powerful. It's greater than the most love you've ever felt in your life. And it's just taking advantage. It's a deceptive mechanism, point blank.
Euforie, blaha, štěstí a druhý pocit, ten byl velmi zvláštní. Já jsem najednou cítil, že už jsem tam někdy byl, že jsem tam doma, že jsem se vrátil domů. To byl
felt that I had been there before. I was at home. That I had returned home. It felt like home more than my actual home at my parents'. I'm not going to go through the whole thing I just talked about earlier in the stream, but it feels like home for a reason, because this physical body is not our organic state of being.
Prioritnější pocit domova, jakoby víc než ten domov u rodičů. To bylo velmi silné.
Very powerful.
A krátce na to vlastně nás se stala jedna velmi, velmi zvláštní věc. Já jsem do toho okamžiku byl úplně nevěřícím člověkem, který nikdy neslyšel.
Never heard of Jesus Christ or the Bible? That's suspect.
O Bibli neslyšel o Ježíši Kristu. A já jsem najednou cítil, že někdo přišel a že stojí za mnou. A tak jsem se otočil a za mnou stála postava zalitá v zářícím světle. A teď se stala velmi, velmi zázračná věc, kdy ve vteřině, kdy já jsem se podíval na to světlo, tak jsem okamžitě věděl, že to světlo.
I immediately knew that the light was Jesus Christ. And we hear that in other NDEs, how they just know that who they're dealing with is Jesus, and that's just the bottom line. And we're just supposed to accept it for what it is.
To je Ježíš Kristus.
And they're supposed to accept it for what it is.
I když jsem k tomu neměl žádné podklady, žádné informace, žádné zkušenosti.
No evidence, no information, no experience, nothing at all.
Vůbec nic. Okamžitě jsem věděl, že to je Ježíš Kristus.
I immediately knew that it was Jesus Christ. See, when you hear an NDE like this, it goes against the grain of standard NDE research. Now, does that mean that he is not being truthful? No, it doesn't. I seriously don't put past lives being intermingled with a current lifetime and being a molded belief system, okay? Now, the other thing I'll say is it's very hard to, like, when I see anomalies in NDEs, such as, this guy's claiming that, there was no belief system, no knowledge of Jesus prior. It's one of those cases that I would like to investigate deeper and see everything that he's put out there in an effort to get a better picture. Because sometimes, there's different mind states that are presented to us, but it's a very, very weird anomaly to look at his case and say, I never heard of Jesus. I didn't know who the heck he was. It just goes against everything that I've learned about NDEs and the belief system. And I'm not saying that what he's saying isn't true. All I'm saying is that it's a very weird anomaly that just doesn't line up. That's all. I mean, take it for what it's worth, and that's it. I mean, that's all we can do.
Najednou vlastně se začalo odehrávat několik velmi intimních scén s tím Ježíšem Kristem, kdy on si mě vzal k sobě, objímal mě. Já jsem najednou cítil, že se netopím ve vodě, ale že se topím v pocitu jeho lásky, kterou mě...
But I felt that I was surrounded by his love. Love bomb.
Jakoby zahrnul, to bylo velmi silné, velmi, velmi intimní. A já jsem najednou cítil, že on mě zná mě jménem, ale znal i celý můj život. A já ho neznal, já jsem vůbec nevěděl, kdo to je.
I just didn't know him. I didn't know who it was at all. I mean, he's not living in the middle of the jungle, okay? He's clearly in a modern home. Just saying.
Bylo to velmi příjemné setkání.
I'm sorry, how do you not know? How have you not at least heard? Doesn't mean you have to believe, but how have you not heard of this character in the Matrix named Jesus? It was a very pleasant encounter.
A on mě potom, než odešel, tak mi vlastně položil otázku něco v tom smyslu, co chci říct o svém životě, jak ho chci obhájit. A to byla jednoduchá otázka, ale stala se velmi zvláštní věc. Já jsem na tuhle jednoduchou otázku neměl co odpovědět. Do svých 17 let to, co jsem prožil, znal, věděl, tak jsem nemohl nic použít.
At 17, what I knew, experienced and gone through, I couldn't use any of it. Now, younger NDEs are they are different. I mean, those who have an NDE with a less clouded belief system and life experience will experience something different in an NDE. Like if there's less there, like especially like if the child or young adult hasn't lost anyone yet, you see how the Matrix kind of reconfigures its attack plan.
A já jsem se cítil velmi nepříjemně a pokořeně. Cítil jsem se jako, že nic nejsem, jako, že nic neznamenám. To bylo nepříjemné. Krátce potom vlastně následovalo to, že ten pocit jakoby odezněl a já jsem se znovu cítil, že tam jsem doma, že mě je příjemně.
And the feelings of joy, happiness and euphoria.
Že to je pocit blaženosti, euforie. A ten prostor pokračoval někam přirozeně dál. A já jsem viděl, že ten prostor se rozděluje na cestu doleva a doprava. A já jsem nepřemýšlel, si půjdu doleva nebo doprava. Prostě jsem chtěl někam jít dál.
I didn't think about going right or left. I just wanted to advance.
A najednou, než jsem došel k tomu rozcestí, tak těsně u rozcestí jsem slyšel znovu hlas toho Ježíše Krista. On řekl větu, kterou si pamatuju dodnes velmi dobře. Stůj, vrať se, ještě ne.
Christ goes, stop, go back. It isn't your time yet. Get in line. You're not supposed to be here. You listen to Christ.
Není tvůj čas. Já jsem nechtěl v tu chvíli jakoby poslechnout, protože jsem chtěl jít dál. A najednou tu větu on zopakoval, stůj, vrať se, ještě není tvůj čas. A v ten okamžik mě vlastně vzal a já jsem se ocitl zpátky.
He took me at that moment and I went back into my body. He took me at that moment and I went back into my body.
Se ocitl zpátky ve svém těle.
The gospel of Jesus,
okay,
which of course was hushed up from its inception, was that wake up everybody and find out who you are.
Okay. That is going to wrap up the commentary section of today. And I want to just head into the chat for a little while. I hope some of these examples tonight served you well and that something, kind of to add more flame, more firewood onto the flame of proving the Matrix reincarnation soul trap to yourself, because there, I know there's been a lot of new subscribers recently, and I just want to say to everyone out there who's new, or new to this research, new to trying to prove it to themselves, and the importance of questioning everything. Just stick with it, please. I promise you. You know, you don't have nobody needs my channel. That's the thing I say the most. That nobody needs my channel. Everyone can go out there and do as they, do their own research and prove it to themselves. It's very easy to do. And as long as you're kind of looking at this in a direction that, you're not going to be swayed by every little thing that these people say, and say, okay, I'm looking at this as from an approach that, I question everything and I don't necessarily buy into what's going on, but I don't dismiss it, especially like early on in your phase, in the research phase, because I found myself with NDEs falling for it hook, line, and sinker for a few years. And then I realized that something's wrong. Like nobody's questioning anything. Nobody's asking nothing. Nothing is the matrix is not being put on the flames of the fire and being checked out. It's just a blind acceptance. Experience after experience after experience. I mean, yeah, we have the hell-like NDEs, but at the same time, there's always something in a hell-like NDE that gives the person solace. Like, I will put this interview out. I interviewed someone who had an NDE last year, a hell-like NDE specifically. And for him, he was being messed with, but there was like this weird alter in his NDE. He was in a coma, I think, for 7 or 10 days, if my mind serves correct. And every time, all sorts of crazy crap could be going on in his experience. But whenever he looked at the altar that had a light, it gave him like this inner solace and peace. And it was like it was almost like a comfort blanket, like a weighted blanket type thing to try and help him, through the experience. So, I will get that out. I know I've been talking about that NDE for a while, but I'll get to it. It's just been a while to I despise video editing, and then I got sick and stuff, and it's just difficult sometimes, but I will get it out to you guys. So I just wanted to jump in the chat really quick and say hello, and if there's any questions before we sign out for the evening. I want to say hello to Anne Abraxas. Yeah, Abraxas. I don't know if you heard my message at the end of the most recent break. If you don't mind reaching out to me, my friend, foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. I'd love to talk to you and set something up for. I know you wanted to specifically talk on a Sunday. Let's try and set something up in the next week or so, or sometime in the next month or so, and have a talk. I'd love to have you on. 432 Hertz, good to see you. Hattie, good to see you. Hope you're doing well today, my friend. D, good to see you. Laura, good to see you. Sandra, Christine, Michael, Elaine. Elaine, I'd also like to, if you're up for it, I'd like to even set up something to talk about your experience sometime. And if you are okay with sharing it publicly, that would be great. I know we kind of talked about it in our recent discussion that was on the air, but if you ever want to talk about it and record it one-on-one, that would be great. So we kind of go over it point by point. So it's, I felt like in that type of setting, it was kind of doing a disservice to your experience. because it was kind of like an open forum type day. Endred, hope you're doing well. Okay, unplug the matrix. I think I already said hi to Christine, but if not, hello, Christine. Conscious Soul, good to see you. Ed, good to see you. Conscious Soul says, FC, I don't need your channel, but I sure do appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think it's all about kind of just throwing that jump start out there, and many of you were looking at this stuff long before you came across my channel, and it's all about us doing our own research and diving into this stuff, and you know, again, the comments I get from you guys are just amazing. Sometimes you refer me to NDE, sometimes you refer all sorts of different things, talk about such a wide variety of topics, and it all funnels back into what's going on with this soul trap topic. It's nuts. Ed says, hope to see Wayne on your show soon. Yeah, Wayne and I should be getting together. He just sent me an email. I'm hoping that we'll get together on a Saturday in the coming weeks ahead, and we're gonna dive deep into experiences like NDEs, OBEs, things like that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I was sick for a while, and Wayne's got something going on in his life too. So it just was everything kind of happened at a very inopportune time. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to diving deep in it with Wayne again and continuing our series. I think we got at least 3 or 4 more episodes to go together in that series. And then also Dan from Overwatch channel will be talking as well sometime in the near future, and diving deep into a variety of different things. So I'm looking forward to that. Oop, okay, what is wrong with this? Why isn't it moving? We see 33. Hope you're doing well, man. Good to see you. By the way, we see 33. I wanted to thank you. You know, I'll leave you a comment on your channel. I don't want to say anything here. Okay, D. Andrew says, FC, do you think Jesus exists? Or those all just counterfeits? Well, I think in those NDEs, they're, you know, again, I think a lot of it has the belief-based system narratives cooked within, you know, subconsciously or otherwise, and they are getting an experience that they may expect to have and assume that they're dealing with the Jesus. But I think they're dealing just like across the board with NDEs, just like with those who don't have something like a Jesus experience, where they may have, you know, meet deceased family members, deceased pets, or various other archetypes. I think across the board, it's just something deep embedded within them, and they are having an experience based on earthly views, some earthly views that carry over. And then there are some anomalies. It's not like there aren't anomalies out there that exist in this stuff, but you know, like I said earlier, I would not be surprised if some of this stuff could even be from past lives. I mean, I seriously think that could be a possibility. And yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. I just again, it's not like I'm denying the NDE happened. I just feel that, you know, I mean, one of the most common things we see in NDEs is that they didn't want to come back. They say that time and time and time again. I mean, it's so common, it's ridiculous. It's got to be in the I mean, I'm taking a stretch, you know, reaching out here and just saying that, you know, I don't know for certain, but it's got to be somewhere in the 90 percentile range where people say that they didn't want to come back. But yet here they are coming back and sharing their story with us. I mean, that's just, to me, that's a huge red flag in and of itself. They don't want to come back, but here they are. They're here sharing their story online on a video or on one of the NDE sites and going through the whole process, or, you know, they change spiritual direction sometimes, all sorts of different things. Elaine says, I'd love to, want to analyze. Yeah, Elaine, that would be great. Elaine, can you reach out to me by email when you get a chance, please? foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. I'll try and set something up over the next month or so. Michael. Okay, let's see. Christine says, thank you, FC. Appreciate you and all here. Thank you so much. Yeah, there's such a great crowd here. It's awesome. So many of you. It's just so smart. Okay, Elaine. Elaine says, I'm typing the details down because it's complex. I wasn't expecting to talk about it that day, but it opened some floodgates. Cool. Yeah, looking forward to it. Ed says, Wayne Bush led me to this channel. Good to know. I wasn't crazy when I saw entities and have OBs. Yeah, no, definitely not. I was just talking about that, I think, last night with some friends about having, you know, more recently, last week, I left my body and it it drives me crazy because back in 2018, I was leaving my body regularly and starting to become good with it. But then I kind of like fell off a cliff and have had problems since. Now, where I find myself having trouble with astral projection or out of body experiences is I leave my body, but I find myself just being freaked out by the entities that are, usually it's one entity, sometimes two or three, but usually one. When I just leave my body, you know, you start getting the vibrations and that as you leave your body, and then you start seeing an entity, oftentimes, like for me at least, at the end of my bed, or you know, within my range of view. And then I kind of freak out by it and I boom, plop back into my body. But last week was really unique because I kept going out of my body, seeing the entity, freaking out, going back in. And this happened about, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, something like that. And it just, like, looking back on it, it just bothers the hell out of me because I want to go further. And I was doing that at some point a few years back, but now I'm just like, I feel it's, I don't know, it's just like some blockage that happens. Like I need to stay calm in that moment to proceed and have a full on out of body experience. It's just, I don't know. It's really frustrating. Really, really frustrating. I don't want to talk about it because it just pisses me off. Your rancher says a multi-level prison. Yeah, I think it. Yeah, I mean, we have Earth, and then we have the astral realm, which are linked. There's no doubt there's a linkage between the astral realm and here. So it's a multi-level prison, no doubt. But you know, it's self-imprisonment because all it really takes is someone realizing their true powers within, their creator being powers within, and that they have the ability to consent and deny consent and go about doing their thing however they want when they leave here. So it's a really, really diabolical system that's out there. Unplug says, oop, oh man, I don't know why this. Okay, there we go. Unplug says, you're an astral traveler. Don't be afraid of negative entities. I've been fighting them in the astral for years. Radiate love at them. It repels them. Yeah, I actually did that back in, again, 2018 was my most successful year for getting out of body, but I just need to work on it more. That's all. I don't know where my disconnect is, but it's really frustrating. Well, I mean, I know where it is. I gotta break free of the fears, you know, and I think it's that moment when you realize that there's some creepy entity, you know, I mean, it's creepy. It's really creepy to have, you know, go out of your body. You know, you deal with these vibrations, these sounds, this whole rigmarole that occurs. And then there is a freaking entity at the foot of your bed. It's creepy. It's creepy. You can't help but ask yourself, why the hell is that damn thing there? Unless it is there to, you know, prevent me from going further. I mean, that's my assumption on it. I don't know if I'm right, but that's how I would see it, because why would those beings be there every freaking time I leave there? So it's all about really keeping your composure in that moment, not responding on a, you know, ridiculous level, overthinking things. And I mean, I know deep within that they can't do shit, but at the same time, it's like in that moment, I need to redefine that moment. And it's just, I just got to work on it still. I got to keep working on it. It's really, really frustrating. Really frustrating. It just, you know, because part of my, I mean, Unplug the Matrix, you were talking about how, you, how you astral project regularly. Do you feel like, I truly feel that deep within that we can literally astral project ourselves out of this place. And that's why I'm working so hard at it. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm just going to tell it like it is. That's my goal. But I'm just curious what you think of that. Like any astral travelers, astral projection, OBEers out there, I'd love to, you know, anyone who's really kind of zoned in on the practice, I'm curious what you guys think. Do you really feel that we can astral project ourselves out of this matrix if we truly wanted to? That's my question. I think we can. I really do. I mean, something deep within me says that, and I feel like almost like that's why I'm faced with this roadblock. I don't know. I mean, this is like one of those areas that can get a little, got to be careful about. So just talking about my personal feelings and path on this stuff. So why is this doing this? Trying to scroll up and it won't let, oh, there we go. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of my thing. Andrew says, that sounds frustrating, FC. I'm sorry you went through that. I'm curious what those beings looked like. Yeah. They're just creepy. They're what you would, I mean, for me at least. I mean, I know other people experience different things, but they're just creepy. Trying to think what you can compare them to. Okay. I think a good example could be something like a for those that are familiar with Rudolf Steiner's work. Was it Armin? You know, the entity that he drew. It's kind of something like that. It's creepy. It's creepy. That's kind of the type of entity that I see. It's just like, why are they there? Why the hell are they there? It's just weird. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that they're a deterrent to try and get us to not go out of their body. And then if you know, I know many of you out there saw Simon's video where he was actually listening to one of my older streams, you know, when it was live, and he about a half hour after the stream ended, he started to go out of his body. And he was, you know, he openly, you know, admits that, you know, he was in a dark period and that, you know, he was asking all sorts of questions and left his body. And he had to make an agreement with an entity that he would promise to come back. I mean, that just was like, wow. It was huge for, you know, for me and many of us that like have been diving into this. Like, it just shows that we have this power within, like, that we can theoretically astral project the fuck out of here and never, and look behind and don't think twice. And, you know, but in order for Simon to have the experience he did, and his experience was incredible, he had to make an agreement. It showed the consent factor and all this, which just is just poof. I'll be doing a commentary on his videos soon. Actually, I asked him if he didn't mind, and he was cool with it. So, yeah, I'll be doing that sometime soon. His video is incredible. Let's see. 432 Hertz says, it's not easy breaking fears of entities. If you can push more into fascination, may be hard. I know. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? It's weird because you can, when I'm in that moment of leaving my body, you can feel like this, even though you're leaving your body, you feel like the adrenaline connection to it, to your human body. And then it's like, boom, it just collapses the whole experience. It's, drives me crazy. Andrew says, when I was a kid, I was always tortured by gremlins in my dreams until one day I had enough. And Optimus Prime told me to go kill the gremlins, and I destroyed them, never came back. Wow. That's intense, man. Wow. You know, the gremlins were a thing that I had in my dreams, too. I didn't have Optimus Prime, but Gremlins was like a big movie when I was a kid. And I had them in a few of my dreams, too, but never anything, you know, like you had. I mean, that's just, I think it was probably just because of the, you know, subconscious knowing of the movie, and I had seen it and stuff. My cousin had showed it to me when I was really young, and so you know, but I don't know. When we're children, we have all sorts of wacky dreams, and I think pop culture and movies kind of line up with some of that. So, let's see. D says, I had one at the foot of my bed about 2-3 years ago. I could smell it. It was dead. Damn. Yeah, you smell it. I've never really smelled anything. But yeah, they're always. Why are they always at the foot of the bed? Why? I've had one, or many at the foot of my bed, or right at the bedpost at the bed. It's just, just creepy. Get the hell out of here. What are you doing? Anne says, to 432 hertz. Yes, and it's been a hellish ride because did not have any like minds and no one could see what I could growing up. My soul is exhausted. Yeah. Big hugs to you, Anne. Hope you're all right out there. Hang in there, sister. Much love to you. God was bored. Good to see you, sister. Hope you're doing well. It says, every night they erase our memories while we are dreaming because we forget we are actually asleep and dreaming. Yeah, I'm totally on board with you on that. That's how I feel about it too. Even if I do affirmations before bed and when I wake up, like I feel like there's a big power in that, like to say that I don't consent to a memory wipe. I don't consent to not being in the know or lucid for my dreaming experience, my sleep experience. It still seems to sneak its way in throughout the night at some point, like as if I can throw out those affirmations, but then I'll fall asleep, and then because I'm not lucid and aware of whatever the hell is going on in those dreams, then it kind of like it unfolds, and I'm like, I'm making an agreement. I'm making a affirmation and point in one aspect, falling asleep, going through the dreaming and sleeping process, and something unravels there, and I wake up the next morning, and I'm memory wiped. I think we all go through that. I mean, otherwise we would remember our freaking dreams. What the hell? Yeah, it's mind fuck. But I do feel, I gotta say this though, like I feel that the more we, like the reason why I go through the whole sovereignty thing and affirmation thing before bed and when I wake up and one time during the day is because it's all about warming me up for the big enchilada for when I leave here. So the more I'm kind of hammering away at that, the more it's just ingrained in my subconscious. I mean, I know right now that, I'm in this body. There's a connection to it even when I leave the dream, into going to sleep. And yeah, I mean it's tough. It's tough. But I feel there's a lot of value in that. And I would suggest, any of you listening out there, consider doing that for yourself, because the more you work on your sovereignty throughout the day, for me specifically, I do it before bed, when I wake up, and then one time, maybe in the afternoon, late afternoon. And it feels right. It feels like like I should, it's something I should be doing, and it can't hurt, right? I mean, that's a good way to look at it overall. Like, it can't hurt when, when the time comes for us to really lay down the fucking gauntlet and say, okay, enough is enough. It's my time to leave here. And this is how it's going to be. Nothing's going to mess with me. Laura says, FC, sounds like they know your plan is to get the fuck out of here. If you can get past them, as you've mentioned, they are aware and trying to scare you. Yeah. I think so. I think that could be part of it. I do. Otherwise, I mean, yeah. God Was Bored says, I believe that too. We can leave via meditation. I think for meditation, it's got to be a really, really, really deep meditation where you do leave your body. And, I can go into some deep places of meditation, but, there's a clear difference between, like the separated state. I mean, at least for me personally, I'm not speaking for anyone else, but there's a clear difference between the separation with meditation and the separation with astral travel or out of body experiences. I mean, that's just me. I mean, and but at the same time, I feel like, if for those out there who've gone through that heightened meditation, I mean, it is intense, it's deep, and you do disconnect, but I feel like there's still that little bit of connection with the body, whereas with astral travel, like you feel like that more fuller disconnection. Does that make any sense? I don't know. Oh, why is it doing this? Come on. I don't know why it's doing this. Well, it just skipped past a bunch of chat, but Conscious Soul says, read William Buhlman's Adventures Beyond the Body. It helped me evolve beyond the astral plane. I travel within myself. Yeah, I swear by Buhlman's books. Buhlman's book. It seems like there's two different pronunciations, and I was calling him Buhlman forever, but Buhlman. But I mean, I love his work. I have all his books. I plowed through tons of his lectures and wanted to do his more personal courses at the Monroe Institute, but they're just so expensive. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you completely. Like Conscious Soul, his books are just incredible. And when I first started, they were my go-to, and they still are to many degrees. I mean, they're great stuff. Your Ranch, I'm sorry. Your Ranch says to Carrie, yes, I have a friend who has Alzheimer's and he knows he's degenerate. Why is this happening? Let me scroll. Okay. I have a friend who has Alzheimer's and he knows he is degenerating. He says his mind is just black. He is 60 plus. Your Ranch, it's so wild you mention dementia, because we were just having a chat about that yesterday with a group, and for me, I my grandmother had dementia and Alzheimer's, and it was just nuts. And then I had my father, who had a very rare brain disease, and he, went pretty quickly. But the point I bring up with both of them, and this could be something that you and your friend's family can almost count on, is there's a thing called terminal lucidity, where in the final week, but usually in the final few days, final few hours, your friend will seemingly just come out of nowhere and make complete sense. I mean, they could be gone 3 sheets to the wind for months and months and months, or even years. And then in those final moments, have this moment of lucidity and be able to communicate with you on just so many, it's perfectly clear. It's like they're their old self. So, hang in there, my friend. I know it's really, really difficult to watch that, Urantia, and my heart goes out to you. It's not easy to witness that. But they will most likely have that moment of clarity. Very, very common. Again, terminal lucidity is the name of the thing, and of course, modern science can't explain it. And I would say, Urantia, like if you're fortunate enough to have that moment, and when they go through the terminal lucidity phase, maybe bring up some of the stuff we discuss here to help them. But yeah, I'm sorry your friend is going through that. I wish you nothing but the best, and I'm the best. It's really brutal to witness. Conscious Soul says, I remember all my nightmares. I have had nightmares every night. Oof. Sorry about that. Let's see. 432 Hertz says, I find meditation difficult recently. Yeah, meditation can be like that sometimes. Like, where you kind of go in these phases. And I mean, for me personally, kind of how I analyzed it in my own life over, I don't know, I've been meditating. What is 2020? I don't know. Like, I've been meditating regularly for about 6 or 7 years, and it does seem to have those peaks and valleys. And I really think, with meditation, it has a lot to do with your mindset at the time and how you're taking in life and your surroundings and stuff like that. And, that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that's the way it is for everyone, but I always found that, meditation flows better when my state of mind is flowing better, and I'm keeping up with my commitment to meditate. Like, for instance, I meditate every morning when I wake up, but I used to do it, every morning and every evening before bed, and my evening practice has fallen through by the wayside. But my morning meditation, I'll never give up. It's something that just has to be done. And if I'm going out hiking and out in nature, I'll meditate as well, whenever I can, if I'm alone. So yeah, meditation meditation has so many benefits too. It really does. It's really, really a helpful way to. It's probably done the most amount of positive change in me out of almost anything I've done while here. I mean, it really it helps. And getting out in the nature, those two things really have helped guide me and keep me as centered as possible while on my path. It's just about sticking with that commitment. Like, um, I found myself, especially in my younger years, um, when I, you know, granted, I've been meditating for about 6, 7 years, something like that. But before that, like I had learned meditation and I had, some great runs with it, but then I would stop it and it would fall off, or like I wouldn't hike as much or get out in the nature as much. And and my life would kind of be reflective of that and fall by the wayside as well. Like, so it takes commitment to stick with it. And mindfulness helps too, like mindful meditation, mindful walking meditation, and even mindful eating, So, yeah, the, the mindfulness eating kind of really keeps you, how do I put this? It keeps you in the meditative mindset as part of your routine. So it's about you kind of reprogramming yourself and sticking to something so you don't lose yourself in your daily practice. That's probably the best way to frame it. Michael says, no more excuses, no more mindfucks. If you want to fit in time tomorrow to watch Netflix before astral projecting, you ain't that serious about getting the fuck out of here. Yep. Well said, my friend. Well said. Laura says, Laura, good to see you. Many people that I've studied that have experienced a Kundalini awakening have no problem getting out of their body any time of the day or night. Yeah. Yeah. The Kundalini awakening, I went through, the, the both extremes where it was, everything was amazing and wonderful and incredible. And then I went through the flip side where everything was, dark night of the soul on steroids type thing. And in those moments, I was definitely able to get out of body a lot more easier than I am today. It feels like I just kind of like, you go up that slope and then you reach here and then it's like, oh, it just kind of drops. Again, this is just my experience. I'm not saying that that's like the playbook on how things go, but that's just what I went through. Okay. D says the cube folds into a cross. Yes, it does. Yep. Johnny says, I watched Brave New World today. Sanskrit says, being in the moment is one thing. Holding it is the real challenge. Yep. For sure. Okay, my friends, I think I'm going to leave it there. It's been a pleasure, as always, to hang out with you, and I appreciate you spending some time today with me, and I hope you gained something off of the Jesus Deception. Just quickly, if you don't mind hitting the like button on your way out, if you found value out of this, that would be great, so we can get this stream or my channel into the algorithm a little bit more. I don't know if it works, but that's what I'm told happens. So the more people we can get to see and at least question some things, the better. And it's just apparently helps. So couple other things. Last timers Club channel members, we have our monthly live stream together coming up, and that will be on January 30th at 4:30 p.m. for the level 2 and 3 members. And if anyone's interested, you can click the link in the pinned comment in the chat. And then also just want to let you guys know that I have 2 YouTube backup channels just in case something should ever happen here. And I do still get comments from some of you saying, "Oh, I didn't get a message about the live stream," or "I didn't get a notification about the live stream." The only thing I know that can possibly help is by setting the bell to all notifications. Besides that, I don't know. The only other thing you can do is maybe check the community tab once in a while. I'll put out a notification before a live stream, but it's normally, fairly last minute. So it's, if it depends what time of day you're checking it, things like that. I also have an ODYSEE account where my videos from here are mirrored over there. And I also do exclusive live streams over there. And if you're new to ODYSEE, you can use the invite link and it helps promote the channel on that platform. But if you're already a subscriber, there's a link there as well. Or if you're already signed up and have an account, you can use that as well. And I have a DLIVE account where I'll also be doing exclusive live streams. So those are 2 sites where, things that we can talk about over there are discussed over there. And, over on this site, it's a little bit different. And then I have a Twitter and Instagram, and very, very rarely, every once in a while, I'll play video games. I'm playing Assassin's Creed, the Atlantis expansion thing on Twitch, just for fun. So, but there's truth bombs in that. So if you ever want to check that out, feel free. It's very random when I play, and I kind of go in this phase where I didn't play video games for, I don't know, for a long, long time, but then I kind of pick it up and play once in a while just for fun, but only if there's truth-based things for me to learn, because that's what they do. They hide that truth in movies and video games and TV and all sorts of crap. So, yeah, I think that's going to be it for now. I appreciate everyone stopping by and spending some time. And we should see each other again, maybe later in the week or on the weekend. Probably shooting for Friday night in Eastern Standard Time, or Saturday during the day. And then again, Last Timers Club members, we have our monthly stream this Sunday at 4:30 p.m., which is January 30th. Or sorry, this Sunday, January 30th at 4:30 p.m. Thank you so much. Stay safe out there. Much love and blessings. Talk to you soon. Take care, everyone. Thank you.